What's going on, everyone? AJ here. So remember when I came on here last week and said, this is why it's important that you need to get involved in your local politics at the state level. Here in Arizona, we have the medical marijuana program and we have the recreational cannabis program. And every single year, our politicians are trying to block this, change that, take away this, put THC caps on things, whatever the case is. They basically, the conservatives do not like cannabis in any way, shape, or form. I am a conservative. I am a Republican. That's the whole thing about my whole shtick here on this podcast, is the fact that I'm a conservative who, is an advocate. I'm a former law enforcement and I'm an advocate for cannabis. And that's the whole thing I'm trying to change people's mind, win the hearts and minds of the conservatives. But here in the Arizona State Legislature, Senator Mesnard has come up with SB 1725. SB 1725, here's what it does. I don't want to be wrong on this, so I'm going to be looking at some notes here real quick. SB 1725 does this. It is going to criminalize the creation of excess smoke, cannabis smoke, or cannabis odor. That's it. It's going to criminalize those two things. So let me read to you what the law, if it goes into effect, the law would state. Under 13-2908, it'll amend criminal nuisance, subsection A, or section A, subsection B. It is presumed that a person who creates excessive marijuana smoke or odor causes a condition that endangers the safety or health of others. That a person creates excessive marijuana smoke or odor. Okay, that does not delineate medical, that does not delineate recreational. What does excessive mean? It's completely subjective. These are the priorities that the Republicans have at the Arizona State Legislature. Now, as I've stated, I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. I lean that direction. I believe in lots of the same things. But this type of stuff is just going to tie up law enforcement. It's an absolute waste of resources, time, and everything else. What is excessive? We don't know. It's not defined. It's also just ridiculous. What else does it say? It is presumed that the creation of excessive marijuana smoke or odor is injurious to health, indecent, offensive to the senses, and an obstruction to the free use of property that interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property and is a public nuisance. So let's take the whole offensive to the senses and comfortable enjoyment of life or property. Well, if I'm a medicinal cannabis user and I have chronic back pain because I have herniated discs in my back that are pushing on my spinal cord, and I consume cannabis to alleviate that pain, but my smoke blows over into my neighbor's yard, that now makes me a criminal because I'm using an organic medicine that has not killed anybody. Still going to say it every single time. Look up the Drug Enforcement Administration's book of drugs of abuse. Still hasn't killed anybody. Using an organic medicine in a way that's how you use it. You can smoke it, you can vape it, you can use tinctures and all that. And they'll always say, you can just use one of the other methods. Well, different methods hit the body differently depending upon what it is that you need for your pain or for whatever it is. I don't have cancer, so I can't speak to regarding a cancer patient how they ingest it. But who the F are we to put a stipulation on someone who has a medical condition and a recommendation from a doctor to tell them how they can and cannot administer their medication? When it comes to the recreational side, again, we can walk by a bar that has beer bottles all over the place. And guess what? There's an odor and a smell that comes from alcohol, particularly drunk people. Well, that's offensive to the senses. So is that going to be criminalized too? Now, obviously, you can't drink, while walking down the road or anything like that, but you can't smoke while going down the road. It's the same thing. I'm just appalled at the fact that this is what the lawmakers believe the people want, and that this is what they're going to waste their time and resources. This is already passed one committee. It's going to go through a bunch of other committees, assuming it doesn't get killed in committee. But it's going to continue to go through the process. If it's signed into law, all we're going to do is going to be creating more work for nonviolent crimes for our law enforcement officers. And again, neighbor calls 911, says, my neighbor's smoking weed in their backyard and the smoke's coming into my backyard. Well, now let's say a deputy or an officer gets dispatched to the house to take care of the complaint, and they show up. There's no smoke. There's no nothing. How do you write for that? Well, all you've done is now take an officer or deputy off the streets from doing actual good police work to go because your senses were offended. I'm upset about this, and I'm a little bit passionate about it because, again, it boggles my mind that this is what we're going to deal with and this is what we're going to talk about. It's not a good responsible use of the lawmakers' time. It's not a good responsible use of the resources. If it gets signed into law, it will be an absolute ridiculous use. It's waste. That's all it is it's absolute waste. So who's going to actually enforce this? I've spoken to some law enforcement officers here in the state of Arizona who said if it's a public health issue, call the public health department and have them come out, because cops don't want to deal with this type of stuff. Cops want to be good cops, and they want to stop crime, and they want to help their communities, and they want to get out there and they want to do the best of their ability and not sit here and deal with someone's smoke. Anyways, that's all I got right now. Like I said, this is currently going through the process, so you can go onto azledge.gov. You can check into request to speak, and you can put a thumbs down on this if you're feeling the same way I am. So this is just an absolute waste of time, money, and resources and everything else, and the taxpayers should not be using this to enforce odor. That's all I got. Take care.